Oh, goody.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Zombies here again, and today we're back with another Marble Snap video. So in this one, I wanted to kind of talk about Kang the Conqueror and if he is worth buying or not. So this has been by far the biggest question I've had in my chat over on Twitch the last few days. Kang, new card, really cool, a permanent addition to Series 5. So a lot of players are wondering, hey, is this worth my tokens? Is this worth my 6K? And the other big question is, hey, I don't have the other big bads yet, or maybe I have one of them like Thanos or Galactus, but I'm just not really sure which I should go for next. So this video is going to try and answer that question and talk a bit about why I do think for a lot of players, Kang is actually worth your purchase. So here's the thing with Kang. It was a very hard card to evaluate prior to release. We did get some last minute information about some interactions that made it better, such as the fact that if you draw it off the top and you play it, you do get a new card. Everything resets. So on reveal effects, any cards generated, all that stuff fully resets. And a very interesting one is RNG will go the same way, assuming the same cards are kind of played in the same case scenarios. So a great example of this is, say, White Tiger on a location like Karmatage. Gonna spawn 2 tigers. They play it there, you Kang them, you get to see where those tigers go, and if your opponent plays it there again, the tigers are going to go in the exact same spot. So what is Kang really doing here that is worth the slot in your deck and your 6,000 tokens? Kang is breaking the game in a very unique way. Unlike Thanos and Galactus, which both kind of broke rules of the game by making their own decks, with Thanos being a deck revolving around drawing a bunch of cards, which normally isn't a thing in Marble Snap due to the small deck size, and Galactus fundamentally breaking the game in terms of removing 2 other lanes, which totally changes how you actually finish out the final turn of the game. So those are 2 fundamental breaks in the normal gameplay that these big bads do. Now Kang breaks the game in a different way. Kang is not a card you're building a specific deck around, but he's a card that can be very beneficial in quite a few number of different decks. And the reason for this is Kang breaks the game in terms of bluffing. So one of the big things about Kang that we found out after release is Kang resets snapping. So what does this enable? This enables bluff snaps. And with the aspects of bluffing that come with Kang, I think it's actually going to be able to pretty significantly boost your win rate with the deck. Now, much like Galactus, I don't think this is going to necessarily result in a super high cube rate in terms of individual games, but I think the amount of games where you're going to be able to steal 1 or 2 cubes off of a bluff is enough to actually make a pretty big difference. So the main thing with Kang here is you get to snap essentially for free, and oftentimes, unless you've snapped early on in the game, this kind of scares your opponent. We like to meme on the boomer snap. Snapping on turn 6 scares people away, but you're kind of okay with scaring people away sometimes if you don't really like your final turn that much. If you're not really that confident your final turn winning the game, it's kind of just free real estate where instead of going down 1 cube, you have a chance of going up 1 cube because the opponent doesn't know you have Kang. They think you might have something good to beat them. They get scared and they leave. So that's one aspect that's really interesting. But there's another part of Kang outside of just the initial, I snap before Kang, so I give him a chance to run away. And that aspect is the mind games that come with your opponent knowing that you know their best play. And so I have an example here. I thought this was pretty interesting. This was a game I played earlier this morning, and I wasn't in a great position this game. I actually got kind of high rolled as they rolled Jane out of the X Mansion after playing Thor, so they got their hammer for free. They were ahead by a lot. And I was thinking, oh man, I don't think my chance of winning this game is that great. But I stayed in. I played Kang on turn 6. I got to see what their final turn was. And their final turn was playing Devil Dinosaur in the middle lane. Looking at the hand I had, I couldn't beat that. There was no combination of the cards I had in my hands that could beat Devil Dinosaur down the middle. However, there was a way I could win this game if I could get them to play the Dino elsewhere. So what did I do? As soon as the Kang turn reset, I immediately snapped after seeing them playing the dinosaur in the middle. This enabled a really nice bluff of, oh hey, they probably have Shang-Chi, or another way to deal with this dinosaur if they're going to snap right after seeing what my best play was. So that gets the opponent kind of thinking, oh, I probably have to change things up, because if they're snapping on the final turn after seeing what I did, they can beat me. They have a way to beat this final turn. And I didn't. I did not have a way to do that. However, I did have a way to win the game if I could slam Darkhawk on the right and they put the dino anywhere but the middle. So by bluffing that I had the Shang-Chi and the opponent buying into the fact that looked like a deck that could have Shang-Chi, and that's probably the main card that would kind of lose them the game here, they were like, all right, I have to adjust my play because my opponent is too confident knowing what I just did, so I can't do the same thing. And that's where the real power of this card comes from. It forced my opponent to go from a line that was going to win the game no matter what, to having to make a suboptimal line because they bought into my bluff, and that ended up winning me the game. Because that suboptimal line let me have a path to victory that I could not have had if Kang didn't enable me to see what they were going to do and what I had to beat. So that is really, I think, the true potential for this card. Now, it's not going to work in every single deck, but there are a lot of decks it is going to work in, and I have found that as long as your general card quality is good, you really don't always feel that bad about going down a card, though, to play the effect. Though sometimes if you're running something like Devil Dinosaur, you feel it a bit more because then you're shrinking your dino. But a lot of decks, I think if you just have good cards in them, I've been trying a lot of good stuff piles with Kang, and it really hasn't felt that bad going down a card. The information and the amount of times I'm able to do a late game snap to just get my opponent to retreat when my hand might not even be that good really feels like it's made up for the slot in the deck and then some. So kind of wanted to talk about this a bit just to give some insight. You know, I've played with Kang a lot over the past 2 days, and I was someone who you may know wasn't initially that high on the card. On top of that, I think the fun factor of this card is through the roof. One of the most common complaints in Marvel Snap that I see is a lot of players like seeing what happens on the final turn, but the snap and retreat system really kind of discourages you from staying in on the final turn if you don't have a very good chance of winning the game, because you'll get punished for bigger cube losses. Kang's kind of cool because not only is he enabling the bluff elements of snapping and the mind games with your opponent, but on top of that, you actually just get to see the final turn more, and you get to see, hey, is it actually worth me staying in this 1 or 2 or even 4 cube game, or do I just need to get out and save myself some cube equity? So I really underestimated how decent that would be. If you're a player who has trouble with when they should snap and when they should retreat, I think Kang might be a very beneficial card for you. So overall, if you're looking for a card to give you a whole new deck, I still think Thanos and Galactus are the way to go. Get at least one of those first if you're looking for a new fun deck to build that's all focused around the fancy new or the fancy Big Bad card. But if you already have a bunch of decks you like and you're in the bluff aspect and the kind of interesting ways it messes with your opponent's mind and the potential cube equity bonus, if that sounds appealing to you, I think Kang is a really good buy. And I have to say, he has really impressed me in terms of both enabling some wins that I don't think I could have gotten without him, and even the times where I get out for a lesser cube game, I think I find myself just having more fun getting to see what exactly the outcome of the final turn is, even if I can't always beat it. So those are my thoughts on Kang. Hopefully that gave some guidance as to if you should buy him or not. Again, he is a permanent Series 5, so he will not be going down in cost. Whether you buy him now, a month from now, even further down the line, he is going to be maintaining that 6K token cost. But at least so far, I really love the bluffing aspect and the potential for making your opponent have to kind of play suboptimally or just leaving in general for bluffs. So I think the card was very much worth it. But that's going to wrap it up for this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.